What's up? What's up, yo? This beautiful Saturday morning. Ain't nobody gonna love you like you do. Night on the Grind TV is proud to present today Chrissy Key Rollins, holistic restoration healer, and then some, y'all. So snap your fingers like this, it's alright. North Carolina, where you at? South Carolina, Virginia. Come on to me. Ain't nobody gonna love you like you love yourself. Remember that. Chrissy Key Rollins is in the house. New York, New Jersey, Bayshore, Staten Island. Where y'all at? Detroit, Motor City. Where you at? Minneapolis. Ohio. What's up, Brenda? How you doing, Bootsy? How you doing, Patty? Shaka Khan. Come from the front seat is upon you. Night on the Grind TV. Our special guest today, Chrissy Key Rollins. Woo! Georgia. Where you at, Virginia? I love you, fam. Florida, New Orleans, Texas, Oklahoma. Y'all out there. I know we got some new fans over in Ireland, Germany, Italy. I see your posts. I love it. Keep spreading that funk around. It's all about love, y'all. Australia, what up, mate? I know we got a few over there. Woo, Dubai. California, hey, I love you. Oh, Utah, Nevada, Oklahoma, North and South Dakota, Hawaii, Samoan, doing the Humpty Hump, China, Japan, Tokyo, I'm young, I say, yo! I feel y'all out there. Come on, snap your fingers, clap your hands. Chrissy's going to be bringing pure fire today, y'all. You know how we do. South America, I got you. Come on, stop. Peru, Iraq, Iran, Ukraine, we got you. We didn't forget about you. Russia, come on now, let Brittany Griner go. North Pole, South Pole, Canada, Poland, Iceland. I know we got a fan over in Romania too. Woo! I'm feeling good on this beautiful Saturday morning, y'all. Yeah. Come from the front seat. 9 on the Grind TV. We are so proud and so honored to have as our recurring guest right now, coming to you live, number 1 Bimini Road, Chrissy Key Rollins, y'all.
Hey, Zach.
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me back again. I love our conversations every time.
Hey, yo, you sis, you know, you fam. It's like, I miss my sister when I don't see you. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. So everybody good on your end, and you know, everybody's all right and
doing well, rolling into the summertime and riding out cancer season as best we can, and looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad that you're able to come on in the middle of the summer this time of year, because this is like, okay, they say dog days of August, and you know how the cliches they put on everything in the middle of the good old summertime and all these things that they say. And really, you know, I find that strange only because so many times here in the States, we don't look at things globally. Like in Australia, it's fall and winter. So, you know, we need to start, I think, thinking globally about all our statements. You know, it's funny. And you always told me this a while ago, a long time ago. one thing that I'm starting to realize is that choosing my words wisely, like every single thing I say now, I try my very, very best not to speak negative things into existence, because I realized I was doing too much of that, for myself, for others around me, and being, one of the leaders in this movement of light work is, reuniting the love thing. I thought about it, and I really had a profound learning experience about myself, and some of the things that I was like, well, why did I say that? And why did I speak this into existence? But yet I'm upset because it's happening, or I'm pissed because. So, I'm going to start there. And then we're going to get into obviously the summer solstice and, the new gateway 6/22/22 was deep, but tell me a little bit about, my audience, just a little bit about your background first so they can get an idea of what you do and who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been exploring this holistic, natural, expanded perspective of taking in life and living life from a holistic lens for the past 20 years. And I've been integrating concepts into my life. I've been finding what works for me. And by works for me, I mean what reduces my anxiety, what allows me to feel more comfortable and confident and clear in my own skin and in my own body, in my own life, what allows me to gain and maintain balance physically, emotionally, spiritually, between my business, between my home life, between what I'm giving out, between what I'm receiving. So anything that brings that balance, that peace, that harmony, that fulfillment, that contentment, that joy, that's what I look to bring into my life and what I continue to practice. And anything that brings me other experience than that, I've been setting to the side. And not only has this approach worked well for me, but I found that it's got some universal truths in it that if others that are open to exploring and just taking a moment to say, hey, you're right, it is hot and summery and here in America, but in Australia it is not right now. There's more to the story.
Yeah.
And that's what I have been bringing into my life. And what I have found to be a profound truth is that if you want the more, you have to steward what comes before. And if you want to be able to step into a world of more and more of what you desire, it really begins and ends with you, like you just said. So how can you take the common denominator that shows up in every experience that you have in your life, which is you, and start to shift from the inside out so that your world can reflect that which you really believe to be true? How to go from talking about your beliefs to living your beliefs, how to go from battling whose beliefs are accurate to who can embody them to the highest degree and the most consistent. So that's the whole world that I live in. That's the world that I invite everyone who's listening to this live and in the replay to step into and to get curious about and to experiment for yourself. Because just like our brother Zach just shared with us, until he started to pay attention to what was happening internally and get out of getting caught up with how everything is looking externally, he couldn't understand his own participation in it. And you're right, what we think about is what we create in our life, but not a direct thought result, but more accurately, what you are thinking about, what you are speaking about, that is the creating the experience that you're having in the moment that you're thinking about it and speaking it. So if you don't want to experience in your life, what do you want to experience in your life, and how much of your energy, your thoughts, your words, your actions, I call that alignment, when you can take your thoughts, your words and actions and have them be congruent, then you start to find alignment. And when we have alignment, we have flow. And that doesn't mean that we are the masters of the universe and we can control every outcome and fix everything that's wrong in the world, but there's nothing to be fixed. There's only wholeness to be found.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect demonstration with the different seasons happening at the same time. Yeah. We are in this world of contrast, and being able to navigate that contrast, find our place in it. For me, it's made all the difference, from my mental experience of myself to my physical experience of myself to how I experience others and all that craziness out there.
That's right. And, when I was meant to finally find you again and meet you, because I know, I was one of your protectors, like I told you when I met you too, as well, back in when, Atlantis was above ground. And you changed my whole temperament about myself. Now, gradually it's been changing over a period of time. So I think we've been knowing each other now maybe a little under 2 years, but I'm not sure. Maybe a little over, I think, because I think you came on when I was with the other network. But whatever time, and I don't keep track of time because I got a different mindset about time, but you changed a lot for me. And personally, I always just like to tell you thank you in public on the air, because I just feel that strongly about how things for me have completely opened up. And once I got my third eye vision back to where it should be, now I'm so conscious, and I always think about your quotes and things that you say, and so you're a huge influence in my life. And being a queen that you are, it's like I'm so blessed and honored to have that, And we were talking off air a little bit. And for those of you just tuning in, thank you for tuning in. My producer, Mr. Mark Lee, today is taking a much needed vacation day. So he can't say I work him like a slave. He got a day off. It's 2 out of the year. He gets 2.
Enjoy it, Mark.
Yeah. So, Mark, I love you. I hope you're having a good time partying wherever you are, brother. We're thinking about you. We're hanging out, 9 Underground TV, Funk from the Front Seat. Chrissy Key Rollins, holistic restoration healer. All her information is on the bottom. Please follow her and support what she does, because this woman will change your life. Toxicity. I think I said that right. Toxicity, right?
Yeah.
And the role that emotion and that thing that we call toxicity plays in dividing and divisiveness and turning brother against brother, sister against sister, right? Where do you see us headed and trying to navigate those waters at the same time we're trying to seek that light?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, again, this is the realm of contrast. We can't just have one. We have to have it all here. And where we have anything is where we have one, and where we have all, but we can have that conversation at another time. So the thing about toxicity is that it's not the full story. It's just an aspect of the story. It's a perspective of the story. It's one splintered off aspect of a whole that is actually unfolding. And there's a really hot trend that's been happening for the past several years of being able to recognize the toxic people in your life and making sure that you keep toxic situations at arm's length, and that you don't engage with them, and you have these boundaries, and you stand up for yourself, and you don't let people do this or that to you. But what's interesting is that the way that we're going about clearing out toxicity is actually quite toxic itself, because you're only addressing part of the story, and you're leaving out the common denominator again of what is present throughout all these different toxic situations with all these toxic people around you. And it's actually you. And it's not what people are bringing to you as much as what you are feeling inside of you. Like, I have people sometimes hesitate coming to me to clear things out because they don't want to put something heavy on me or drop something negative on me, which I really appreciate the compassion and the consideration. But quite honestly, you're just bringing me a part of the story.
Right.
And it's not negative or toxic or bad or wrong or heavy. It's just not the whole story. So what we can do is unpack it, and we can bring in the whole story, and we can begin to realize that the toxicity that needs to be cleared up is actually only within ourselves. It reminded me of that saying, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. I think like Winston Churchill or somebody said that along the way.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same kind of expression can be said with toxicity. There's nothing toxic, or what if there's nothing toxic other than toxicity itself? So when you're taking time judging people from their exterior display, not taking time to have the more conversation to find out what is their intentions. What is it that their overall goal is? If we could just have that conversation instead of having arguments over how to get to the end resolution, we begin to realize we all want the same end resolution.
That's right.
So if we stop the divisions and playing into this us versus them and start to bring that together and let it be just one, now we can really clear out what is toxic, which is our belief that something needs to be away from us in order to change how we feel within ourselves. So that uncomfortableness that toxicity brings about is the untruth that you are resonating or not resonating with that is coming to surface. And when we can learn how to explore what is within ourselves and within each other and move past that superficial external layer, which is interesting because so many people right now are so wrapped up in this whole let's change this idea of judging people from the exterior, and instead we're going to judge them from this exterior. So you're just trading up one toxic trait for another. You're not really solving or healing or uniting or bringing together anything.
That's right.
So I believe in order to really make the shift and the jump that we're being invited these last couple of years to shift over into this new world that is here. It is here and it is available for everyone to participate in who is tired of the division, that is tired of just, outsourcing or replacing one suffering with another, that is tired of trying to feel this energetic hole and void that's within us, that's tired of the families breaking up and friendships breaking up and everybody being divided, and tired of feeling like you can't say what's on your mind because you're worried that it's going to be misinterpreted or used against you. I mean, I'm recorded all the time on video, and it's like, well, I just stick to sticking with my truth and not get so worried about how people want to clip it up or spin it around. Because if anybody takes the time to listen to any message that I put out there anywhere, you're going to see it's a little bit different than one that says, hey, let's divide and this is what's right and that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
So right now we're being invited, and this is what made this particular summer solstice so powerful. We had a shift that occurred, and some of us have been able to jump timelines, meaning we've been able to align ourselves energetically with a different experience of what our life is unfolding like. And if you're not paying attention and you're not taking conscious responsibility and you're not being a conscious participant in your own life, and you're not looking to heal what's coming up inside of you instead of changing what's around you, then if you can take that approach, you're going to find yourself living a completely different unfolding. And if you don't take that approach, then you're going to find yourself being split into two different paths, and it's going to be some version of us versus them, and it's going to be continuing the same thing that many of us are trying to free ourselves up from by trying to remove all the toxic people and all the toxic situations without realizing these two paths only lead to more toxicity.
That's right.
If you want to free yourself from toxicity, then you have to take the path that is less traveled, the one that isn't so obvious, the one that isn't being promoted and marketed and trying to convince you of anything. This path is silent. This path is stoic. And in this path, you don't have to worry about people taking advantage of you, overlooking you, mistreating you. You don't have to worry about narcissistic empath. You don't have to worry about any of that because you're in the all of it.
Yeah.
The all of it, everything has its place and its non-place. And this place is so much easier to find when you know who you are.
That's right. That's right.
Then
that's
you
well said.
See who you are not, and then you don't have to fight anything anymore.
That's right. That's right. No, continue. I was saying that's just well said because, as we all grow and take this journey, and I often think about, our conversations on and off the air about the contract. And I was talking to my friend Janice last night about the contract we signed. And then we were like, sometimes in the middle of the contract, you just got to rip it up and then you got to do other stuff. But that's part of the contract too. It's like at that point, you were going to switch up anyway. So I think if more people understand the true power we have as in this earth suit, like I'm a hybrid, so half, but the true power we truly have, and understanding people like Dolores Cannon, people like yourself, people like Sadhguru, people that spirits that have been divinely touched, and I always felt that way about you. You're divinely touched to share and drop this knowledge, basically hooking people up. Whether they get it or not is irrelevant, but our job, light work, is we just like, hey, here it is, check it out. And I want to go back to something you said, the NWO. A lot of people aren't hip to the plan, the game, whatever it may be, right? And they play it off as other things like, oh, well, that's just society doing what it does. And that's just, politicians doing what they do. And that's just people doing what they do. But the New World Order, and I hope I don't get censored for saying this. And again, those of you watching, these opinions are only mine from the front seat, right? Don't sue Facebook. Don't sue StreamYard. Don't come after Instagram. Don't go after those people. My opinion, right, is in full effect in such a way that they've done what they said they were going to do, but they still trying to convince us, hey, the New World Order really hasn't kicked in yet. Your opinion, because I think we're actually in the middle of it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting conversation because, again, it puts us back into the 3D division, right versus wrong. So we can just clarify and say, whatever is happening out there, this is the place where the chaos happens. This is the place where the contrast happens. And this is what happens on this realm. So what's going on has been going on. What's going to be going on, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's already started. It hasn't started. All of it's happening all at the same time. It's all about what timeline you decide to plug into.
Yeah. Yes.
So at some point, you're going to find yourself exhausted being on the timeline of what's that playbook and what's their next move. But you can always step back and look and see what is being marketed to you. What value does it add to your life?
Yes.
Is it anything that you actually need? And who are you? And finding out who you are and what you are about. Who are you beyond what you do for other people?
Yes.
What value do you hold beyond your external doings in this world? Getting to the core essence of who you are and who you are not will wake you up from everything that you are being entrained into. You're being literally programmed into. So whoever's behind it, wherever it came from, this is what happens here. You get told a story from a very young age that's reinforced everywhere that you look, and that is embodied and exemplified by your closest people, by the outskirts of society. But notice that every single one of those behaviors is also being shown to them, told to them. They're dressing the way that they're dressing because that's what's sold in the stores. They think that it's whatever which way about it because that's what we're told the masses are thinking about. So regardless of the agenda behind it, who's behind it, where are they leading us, what's next, if we just step into a place that this is what's going on and start to recognize and see it, then you can start to find those division lines a little bit more clearly. You can trace back to what's true to you and what's not. You can start to ask yourself the real questions instead of just going along with what's convenient, because what's convenient, what's handed to you is not what has your best interest in mind.
That's right. That's
not the way that our society is. And we can simplify this by just going back to basic common sense things that we all agree upon, which is that fast food is not something that is essential and is also something that does not gain us a healthy life physically, emotionally, spiritually. We can all agree to this and we all know this. Yet what's the most convenient thing? What's the hardest thing to do whenever you're trying to make food habits? Get out of the convenience and get into the inconvenience of growing your own food, preparing your own food, reading the ingredient label of what you're eating. We are outsourcing all of our authority, all of our power over to people who do not have our best interests in mind. We can argue all day long about who these people are and what the big agenda is, but the bottom line is it is happening out there. And I don't say all these things to get you, oh my gosh, wrapped up in it and to create more division. I say it because what if that's just what happens here? And the name of the game is freeing yourself from the seduction of and the programming of what's convenient and getting back into the proper authority, which is what lies within you. Take back over your healing, take back over your health, take back over your life, take back over your relationships, take back over your family, and start to realize how much you're pointing that finger outward and how little you're actually embodying and demonstrating what it is that you really believe, want, and desire. And it's no reason. I mean, this doesn't happen for no reason. It's not like you're just lazy sitting there not doing anything. You're distracted and they're doing their best to keep you distracted.
Oh God, yes.
Because if you can be distracted from who you are, you can be distracted from what your power is. You can be distracted from how much power you hold by where you invest your money. And I'm not talking about like Wall Street investment. I'm talking about who do you hand your money to whenever you exchange it for anything in your life? Where is that money going to? Because the only reason this convenient sickness is delivered up to us in society is because we keep giving our money to it.
We do. That's right.
And if we stop that, if we decided together that we are done with GMO foods, we are done with anything other than organic. We're tired of chemical sprayed foods. And I know that farmers and big farmers, they have their reason for using it because they couldn't keep up with the production. But if we go back to smaller communities, if we go back to home gardens, if we go back to tribal living, then we will find the balance, the harmony that sustained our humanity for so long, that here we are in this luxurious climate controlled environment, streaming through these devices and talking about suffering that we have control over. It's an interesting time that we're in, but I believe that this is the Great Awakening, that this is the time to wake up to the next level of who we are and how much power and say we have not only over our own personal lives, but over society as a whole. And how do we do that? We do that by starting with ourselves. If you want to eradicate racism in your world, in the world, then you start with eradicating it from your world, which doesn't mean educating and telling everybody else how they're being racist or how they need to be. It's about being the example everywhere that you go. And any time that you run into it externally, you don't get into a division, you get into an inclusion. And you go into what is the heart core that this person really desires. And then you start to get to know them, because a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, as what one of my mentors used to always say.
I love that.
So you have to allow other people to come to their own logic, their own sense of knowing, because somewhere within each of us is a seed that's connected to every other being. When we can put humanity back into the equation, now we got a whole different conversation that's happening, no matter who's done what to who or what it looks like on the outside or what's being told to you. Like, we can just get out of all that confusion and get to the very heart, the very essential essence of what is happening, which is humanity.
That's right. We're hanging out today with Chrissy Key Rollins, holistic restoration healer. And, you know, when Chrissy comes on the show, for those of you out there watching, she comes on dropping some serious knowledge. It's always ever changing and it's always current. And this show is about peace, love, and harmony. But I'm giving you a plug on your Holistic Restoration shop, which people can see at the bottom. This is where I get my crystals and stuff from. This is the woman that hooks me up with all of the necessary energetic forms of stuff that keeps me flowing in that funky direction that I need to go. So for that, I am truly grateful and thank you. And please go to her shop. You can follow at the bottom, holisticrestoration.com, shop Holistic Restoration, and go and support this woman, because I'm telling you, she's dropping dimes, man. And she's got some divinity, you know, within her that you know, she comes on this show and her own shows as well on Patron and everything else, sharing this information. It's out there. And Chrissy, you do an amazing job sharing it. I want to thank you. Two things you mentioned before that I want to get into, and then we're going to take a little quick, you know, minute and, you know, get our plug in for yourself and for Keith Jackson. So, but anyway, 1% of the wealth, so to speak, is, you know, I mean, 1% of the people, you know, control, 99% of the wealth. Now, that, figuratively speaking, the way I look at it, if 99% of us are together in some form or way, then 99% definitely outweighs that 1% in power. It's just that the third eye and the foods that you talk about and the chemicals keep our third eye closed. This is how sick we are as a society. And again, this is supposed to be happening, but some of us step out of that realm to help others. 1% of anything cannot control 99% of anything, yet it does. And that's the thing that boggles my mind. When people say that, I was like, yeah, but 99% of us have that power to overcome that 1%, whether it be economics, whether it be racism, whatever it may be. But like you said so eloquently, we have to zone in. We have to hone our senses. We have to be put in mindsets that starts with the temple, us first. The body is the temple. The kingdom of heaven is within. You're spiritual. I'm spiritual. And that's how we got to approach the next 10, 15, 20 years,
Absolutely. So I would say without a doubt, the cleaner that I began to eat, the more aware that I became of what I was putting into my temple, what I was fueling myself with, the easier it became to make connections, have awareness, stay my path, and not get confused. I mean, a perfect example that people fall into, and just think about how we all know how unhealthy this is. We all know what detriment it creates in our lives, no matter if it's the smallest level or the biggest level of what I'm about to say. We all know how socially acceptable it is. We all know how marketed it is. We all know how it was deemed essential during a time in which other people who truly are essential were told that they're not. And this thing is alcohol.
Yes.
Alcohol. Some people call it spirits.
Yes.
And I think that there's a good reason for that. What I found with myself is that when I consumed alcohol, I got distant from myself. There was a distance that was created between my soul self, the true essence of myself, my heart, my desire, my wants, my dreams, and who came to the forefront did not represent that person. Those desires did not make choices that were in alignment with that. And I could feel myself being removed from myself. And I believe, you're welcome to believe what you want, but I believe that creates a gap that allows other spirits and energies to step into and start to use your body, use your mouth, use your hands, use your mind, convince you of things that you would never believe under sober circumstances. And anybody who has ever overconsumed in alcohol and woke up the next day to think, oh, that wasn't such a great idea. Or how about those that woke up and have no idea what happened? I mean, so many people I know listening to this are going to be able to relate to one or both of those situations. What happened during that time? Where did you go? So what if beyond alcohol, what if there's other socially acceptable things that do the same exact thing? What if that donut, what if that milkshake, what if that pizza separates you from who you are, separates you from receiving divine truth, wisdom, innate knowing, knowledge inside yourself? Because if you gave pizza to a sunflower seed that you planted in your backyard, do you think it would grow?
Right, exactly.
It's not the substance that makes the seed grow. And we all know that pizza is not the substance that makes a body grow. It's not the thing that develops a mind. And we can even take out pizza. Let's put in a milkshake. Let's put in donut. Let's put something that's a little bit more obvious, because people out there, well, it's got tomato sauce and blah, blah, blah. We're going to go with just pure, not good for you things that we readily choose to consume. These things are keeping you separate from yourself. It's outsourcing your authority over your body over to someone else. And we overlook it. Why? Because sugar is marketed in a different way than crystal meth. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Cocaine is marketed differently than Adderall.
Yep.
That's why. You get to the core substance of what it is that you're consuming, and you'll see that there's a lot of not good stuff that is presented in packages that are like, oh, easily excusable. When you start to clean these lies and deceptions out of your life, you start to see all the other lies and deceptions that are piled up with them. And you start to see how, from a very young age, your soul has been done just that, separated from who it is that you truly are. And I think that's kind of the point of this whole Earth School. I think that's what we do here. I don't know why we do it, but this is what we do here. I don't know why, but something about us wildly wants to be here because something woke us up this morning. Something's moving our lungs. Something's moving our heart. Something's blinking our eyes. We're not telling that to happen. That is divine source energy thrilled to be embodied by the person who you are, that you're judging in the mirror, that you're judging in the mind. I mean, we've got to wake up to the divinity that pulses through our veins and start to live as if we are divine children, that we have inherited this planet. And it is up to us what we do with it. And if we keep arguing over who got us here and who's at fault and who's to blame, all we're doing is perpetuating the same story forward, which they, whoever they are, would love to do, because it's more chaos, it's more confusion. And you know what? Let them do the chaos. Let them do the confusion. There's another there's another way. Sometimes I feel like the spiritual Harriet Tubman just freeing the slaves on the Underground Spiritual Railroad, because if you don't even know that that's happening, then you don't even know that there's an option. And that I advocate for is, let's have the conversation so that it's an option. You can keep your chaos, keep doing all that. Just give people the opportunity to have the option. And what if that's what we do, is come here to get separated from ourselves so that we can find our way back home to ourselves. And when you consciously choose to show up and participate in your body, in your mind, in your life, the whole game changes. And now you can have a completely different experience amongst the chaos, amongst the craziness, amongst the division. You don't have to be divided anymore.
That's right. That's right. One of the things you said is funny, because one of my new songs coming out, Funk Chromacon Variant, so you know I'm going deep. But one of my lines is, real eyes realize real lies. So when you hear the song, you'll know that's part of this conversation we having, because I'm like, okay, well, my third eye is open now. So you can't lie to me. You can't be deceptive to me. I see through everybody's, stuff. And I know when, people are real and when they're not. And, surrounding ourselves with like-minded thinkers, it's great, but at the same time we do have to delve into that other thing just to see, what am I going to learn from this? What am I going to learn from that?
When you don't have conversations outside of your own belief system, you are stopping yourself from meeting parts of yourself that would never step forward otherwise.
That's right.
So that's the hazard of removing all the toxic people from your life. What if instead of removing all the toxic people from your life, you regain power over words, so that no matter what words are spoken to anyone at any time, in any tone, in any way, you don't lose your footing.
That's right.
Which to you feels less toxic and more toxic. If you lose your footing over words that somebody uses, you aren't fully grounded and you don't fully know who you are.
Exactly.
You don't know your centering point. You are relying on this external world for your balance, and you will always be off kilter when it all comes down to it.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that is a lesson for everybody out there watching. We're hanging out with Chrissy Key Rollins, a holistic restoration healer. This woman is absolutely amazing. She's always on fire when she comes on the show every couple of months, dropping that knowledge, man. And please stay tuned. Y'all stay active on the chat line when we talk about certain subjects you want to get into. Hit me on Facebook and I'll be more than happy, or Chrissy will be more than happy to get back to you. Just give everybody a second. But, we try to heal and we try to help. Right now, I'm going to take like 2 minutes, and I love to hear the sound of one of my strongest supporters, Keith Jackson. So, Keith Jackson, please come in.
Hey, this is Keith Jackson with P-Funk Radio, inviting you to check out my brother Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat. Saturdays, 12 noon on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It all happens on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube. Great guest, great conversation each and every Saturday. That's Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Robinson on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Check him out.
Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you to check out Zach Robinson with Funk in the Front Seat. He drops new episodes every Saturday at noon on the East Coast time, and replays are posted for whenever you miss a live stream. You can find him on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube, and get ready for the funk, because he brings it every week, along with hot topics, amazing guests, and great conversations. Again, that's Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Go check them out.
And thank you so much for that. And we actually have you on the show today, but I want to make sure JTRP, P-Funk Radio, Gabe Gonzalez, Larry Circle of P, Gabe Gonzalez, Larry Funkster Jones on Saturdays, Robin Circle of P. Get on the funk bus down in Texas, Philly, Phil. I love you guys. P-Funk Radio, thanks for playing the music. Boosie and Patty, thank you for always showing love and all the great things you do. My manager up in New York, HJ Entertainment, K&N Jams. I love you guys. Tony Cam and the Funk All-Stars. I'll be playing with you and see you in September at the Funketeers Ball. The Nappy Head Funk Army, you guys definitely showed up and showed out at the Eno Festival. Oak City Music Collective, my management company down here in North Carolina. Carolina. Thank you, Diego and Tam. You guys are doing a great job. Afterglow, 92416. Donna, I love you. Q&A Entertainment out of Georgia. Brooke Clagett, happy birthday, because I know you just, had a beautiful birthday. And Pat Dioria, Aquarius Rising Art, Curtis Wilcox, George DeFunca Vinci, Dr. Brookenstein, and of course, my main man, David Webb, up in Ohio. The Funk Hall of Fame. Y'all need to check that out and go on the website, because he's doing an amazing job with all the funk acts. And of course, all the great fans out there that help support this show each and every week. 9 on the Grind TV, Funk from the Front Seat is welcome. Honored to have with us Chrissy Key Rollins today. And we're going to continue to get into some stuff. The agendas, just off the top of my head, I scrolled down 6, political, corporate, medical, educational, financial, and one that slips through the cracks. Now, it doesn't personally bother me, but because I see it, it's kind of in the forefront of my mind lately, the emasculation of men sometimes. I know this is the planet where chaos happens. I know these things are just part of the learning process, as you say. But when I see it, I don't have feelings either way, but I know it's prevalent because something is off kilter a little bit. So any one of those you can feel free to touch on in this NWO era that we're living in right now.
Yeah, so I could say that we could sum them all up into the same thing, just being displayed in different ways. And that's leveraging the power of putting more value on the physical than the non-physical in this world. So tricking us, so to speak, into putting the value on the dollar, not the energy behind it. That's how 1% of the population has the wealth and 99% of the people don't. And why does it stay in that off-balance kilter? Because the 99%, the majority of them have been convinced and are still putting more value in the physical than the non-physical. And that's why we're seeing this interesting display of masculine and feminine right now, because what we are experiencing is the awakening of the divine feminine, because that has been what's been suppressed, which is why we have such a patriarchal society, why we have such a male-dominated past history, why we have such a out of balance kilter with the physical versus the non-physical. Why is the man who goes to work 60 hours a week earning a living to pay the bills for the household valued more than the woman who stays at home working 100, how many hours are in a week? 24 times 7 hours a week to keep everything going, yet she is not valued as much as he that brings in the paycheck. That why is this happening in our world? It's because we have put the value on the physical expression and we have been denying and suppressing the divine feminine. Well, when the divine feminine wakes up and it's time to come back and balance things out, then what's going to happen is that the masculine is going to use the masculine and the feminine against itself. So then you see this very toxic pro-feminine behavior step forward, and you see this very skewed masculine behavior step forward. And what's happening is that in the name of the feminine, toxic male masculinity is getting infiltrated into it. So all you're doing is perpetuating the same exact thing. That's why we have to get out of this cycle of pointing a finger and blaming and shaming, because as long as that is present, then there will always be justification for doing the things that cause humanity to be out of balance. So what do we do with this? Well, first of all, you can't stop the divine feminine. She's what makes all this world goes around. Right. So when you stop buying into the illusion that there is more happening in the physical and allow yourself to recognize that actually very little is happening in the physical, a lot is happening in the non-physical, because sit where you are right now. Take a look around what is happening physically within your physical observational space right now. Now take a moment to think of everything that lies beyond those walls that you cannot see and you cannot experience right now in the physical. You can only experience right now in the energetic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot more that's there. So when we wake up to the fact that there is so much more happening in the and the non-physical than what there is happening in the physical, then we can realize that what's happening in the physical is the 1%, what's happening in the non-physical is the 99%. And we can choose which side we're going to leverage the power from. But you don't, what do they say? Like, you can't dismantle the master's house by using the mantle's tools or something like that. So you have to be able to move beyond that. That's why fighting for what you want only perpetuates more of what you don't want. That's why taking a stand for what it is that's wrong only solidifies it that much stronger. That's why you have to be like water. That's why you have to be like that you don't want. You don't want to be around a narcissistic person, that you become the least narcissistic version of yourself possible. But then we get taken advantage of, but then we get run over. No, baby, then you tap into your real power and you become untouchable.
Yeah. That's right.
Because you put the value where the power actually lies. It's in what's behind it. So when you can retrain your mind to reacting to what lies before you, to responding to what you are seeing, with bringing that whole holistic picture in mind. This is why I love the holistic world so much. Then you start to open up different choices, different options. There's more of the story that is happening. And then you can start to align yourself with the version of all the options that you prefer the most. That doesn't mean you eradicate and you eliminate, but when you do this right, so to speak, I don't like to use right and wrong, but when you do this effectively, then you will eradicate it from your world.
Yeah.
And you teach everyone to do this around you, then guess what gets eradicated from the world?
That's right. You know, it's funny you mentioned about the eradication of trying to extract this other stuff from our mind, at the same time learn this massive lesson, you know, the Earth School, as you call it, right? We're here on this Earth School, and there's a lot of different theories about things. But recently, information has come out from the telescope that brought back information from the universe, not space. Because people say space, it ain't space, it's the universe, right? I laugh when people say space, because that is so like vague. Yes, space is here. I'm in space right now. You know, this rock that we're on is in space, but the universe. And I was watching the interview of the scientist that was speaking about it, and the pictures and this and that, and the beautiful, you know, in-depth color photos. And the journalist looked at him with such confusion and awe when he said, those pictures are like 82 billion years old, you know, that energy. And it just blew her mind. I literally seen her head explode, because she couldn't wrap her mind around the fact that that is just now getting to us.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So comment on that for a second.
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, jumping timelines. Energetically, you're already connected to everything that unfolds in your life. Energetically, all of it's happened. Energetically, there is no problem that's before our eyes that a solution hasn't already been found and in place for.
Yes.
The part of the timeline that you're at is the physical one, and the physical things happen very slowly. So if you stop showing up and acting like what's before you is happening now, and realize that what's happening before you is actually showing you what the past is, now you start to open up a whole different path in front of you, because you can stop the relapse of going back in time over and over again and tripping over the same thing over and over again. And instead, you can realize what is happening right now has never happened before, and it will never happen again. And what happens next is yet to be seen. It's yet to be played out. And it's up to me to decide what it's going to be like as far as the experience goes, not the actual circumstances, the display of it. That's already, it's a done deal, whichever way you want to look at this. You can say that God created it all, so you have no power over it, or you can say this is just the universe unfolding. You can say you can't prove me wrong, because you can't show me what's going to be next until the next part gets here. So there you have it. But how you experience that timeline, how you experience that unfolding is 100% determined by you, not your circumstances, not what's happening around you. The story that you tell yourself in regards to what's happening around you and what that means about you specifically will determine how it is that you experience it. So a lot of times we don't like it when our kids act up, but we think it's because we don't want them to be erratically behaved people. But really, what if we don't want them to act up because that means we must have done something wrong?
Right.
So
right.
a lot of what we react to is more how we look in the situation, not what is actually happening in the situation.
Yeah.
So the economy gets, or the whatever happens, and all the businesses get shut down, right? It's not what is happening, it is what you tell yourself and what you decide from that point. If you believe that your money comes to you through a job and through a paycheck, and that's the only way that you get money, then you're going to have a much different experience than somebody who realizes, oh, well, universe sends me money, God sends me money, the universe provides for whatever I need, and the conduit for which is totally coming through at this time is this particular source or entity. That means that if this particular source or entity goes obsolete, it just finds a different way to get to me. That's a completely different way to live your life than thinking that now I've got nothing and I'm destitute. Same exact situation happens around, but how you explain it to yourself. So the whole world gets shut down, and now you're being confined and forced, and you can't do, and restricted, and fear and all that other stuff. Or you can realize you've just been sent to your room to think about what you've been doing in your life and to decide who and how you want to be moving forward. Because if you've been waiting for this world to change to help you out and to get you in a better spot because you've been doing all the right things and checking off all the boxes and moving through this game of life, and you're waiting for that reward on the other side just because you made all the right masculine expressed movements, you're getting hit with a wake-up call that that's not what happens here. This is the place that chaos happens. So that is not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that you're going to experience everything that you need to experience to wake up to who you are and to decide what kind of life you want to have. And that comes down to how do you experience you in any given moment, which is why your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you can possibly pour yourself into, learn how to connect with, and get the most out of. Because how you experience you determines how you experience everybody else. That's what makes somebody's words impactful or roll right off your back. Because when you know who you are, then people can say whatever they want and you don't lose your footing.
Yep. That's
right. And I say that if you ever want a world in which you are highly visible on any video platform or social media platform, you better figure out who you are, or else they're going to tear you down. Because I get some of the most worst comments ever on the videos that I put out there. And all that I ever talk about is loving yourself more and loving each other more. I get horrific things said. And thankfully, I've learned how to master that in my day-to-day life. So somebody on the internet that's not putting out any videos or showing up in their life or having a conversation that's causing conflict or whatever, why do I care about what they have to say? Or why am I going to stop? Because I'm not putting these videos out here for your approval. I'm putting them out here because that's what I'm here to do. This is what I do regardless. I don't get paid for the videos that I put out there. I put the videos out there because I have a message on my heart. And I know it has value because it's radically changed my life. And I know that it can radically change anybody's life who dares to step into it and just get curious about it. But I'm not here to convince you of that. I'm not here to get rich off of that. I'm here to share the message because that's what messengers do. So regardless of anything else, I got to steward this that's been planted on my heart. And one of the avenues that I choose to do it is through videos, podcast interviews, what have you. And in order to do that and be consistent, you got to move beyond what's the physical reward I'm going to get to it and into what is the very essence of what makes me come alive. And part of what makes me come alive is conversations like this. So
exactly.
Here I am. So ask yourself that. Don't ask yourself, what can I do to make money? What can I do that makes me come alive? Because that is what this world needs. I know there's somebody out there that said some famous quote along those lines, but do that. Ask yourself, what makes you come alive? And then start to do that. Start to live a life that it is unacceptable for you to not have that thing that makes you come alive. Even if it's a hobby, a pastime, something that you do on the side. You want to figure out how to monetize it? Let's have a one-on-one conversation, because that happens to be kind of my specialty and my wheelhouse, because that's what I've done for the last 16 years for myself. I have found what makes me come alive, and I have aligned that in being service with for other people. And in exchange, life has always found a way to help me to get by. So I can show you how to do that in a way that's natural and authentic to who you are, so that you can just be who you are and have that make a bigger impact, not only in the lives of others, but in your own life.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned something that's pretty interesting, and it has a lot to do with manifestation. And I want to get into this for a hot second. We're hanging out today with Chrissy Q. Rollins, holistic restoration healer. All her information is on the bottom. Please check this woman out, because this beautiful spirit right here is a queen, and she knows how to get a person specifically from point A to point B, without any BS, without any fluff. And just speaking the God's honest truth about where we are, and as people, entities, spirits, whatever you call us down here. Some of us are hybrids, and it's so refreshing to hear and sit and have a conversation. But real quick, before I get to my manifestation, platforms now, people like you and I, we're almost threat because they know they can't stop us all. So the ones that get through, like you and I have managed to eke through, squeak through, or whatever, so they can't stop that because they're focused on that other agenda of keeping the sheep. Like when the masters was tending the sheep, if one or two went their separate way, sometimes they would just let them go because they got to attend to the herd. Because the herd is the bulk of the mentality. But people like you, me, my friend Janice, and other people that are holistically above all of that, we're like, no, I know they're being led to slaughter. I'm way in the back, but I know those sheep in the front, they ain't coming back telling me anything. They ain't even coming back, And I just want people to be aware, like, you need to have these conversations within yourself, with people around you, people you care about, because these are the conversations they don't want you to have. These are the things that they don't want you to know about. And we're here providing this platform so you can know about them. Manifestation. Tell our audience a little bit about different concepts of that can help them get over some of the mental hurdles and humps that they feel they have to deal with every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I'm going to go back and acknowledge the accolades that you handed my way for how your life's changed since you and I have met. And I appreciate that. I fully receive that. And I thank you for taking time to acknowledge that to myself, and so other people can benefit as well. And I'm going to expand it and take it a step further and recognize you in return, because that's the thing. I don't show you how to get there. I show you how to get yourself there. And that's the biggest difference. I'm not here to show you what to do. I am here to invite you to consider a different perspective and watch where you start to lead yourself, because I help you to become aware of, awaken you to, connect you to your own intuition, your own internal guidance, and your own power and authority that you have over your life. So I kind of just give people permission to do what it is that they came here to do.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
I love that as well. It's a fun and exciting role to have, to explore this unseen realm with individuals. And it also takes the pressure off of me, because I don't have to get you there. I just give you permission to get there. So I'm not responsible for any of the healing that takes place within your body on my healing table or through our conversation and connection. That is what you awaken and allow and facilitate within yourself.
Yeah.
So part of the conversation around manifestation, and anybody who wants to dive deeper into this, I do a quarterly workshop throughout this year. And my last workshop that just happened at the end of June is focused on the conscious success formula, where I break down manifestation, the law of attraction, what it is, what it's not, how to work with it and align yourself with it so that you can be more conscious in the creative process and the unfolding of your life. So one of the things that stops people in the manifestation process is this belief that they have to make things happen. Again, let's go back to, what are you being marketed? What are you being sold on? And what we've been marketed on and sold on when it comes to manifestation is that there's a proper way to do it. And if you don't do it right, then you're screwed. It's not going to manifest. You're going to get a whole bunch of crap. And that's why you keep getting crap, because you keep doing it wrong, because you're not enough. And see, we're going back to that same story of not enoughness. We're being marketed scarcity everywhere that we turn. Everything that is being sold to us is about there not being enough within you or around you. So you need this other thing. But in truth, everything that you need is found inside of you. You are more than enough, which is why it feels so agitating whenever people present a situation that makes you feel like less than, because that's your soul saying, yeah, You're not interpreting this accurately. You are a limitless being. You are full and more than enough, right?
Amen.
So when we approach the manifestation process as it's not somewhere that I'm at yet, now I need to get myself there and I'm going to do the thing that makes it happen, then what you're going to get is the experience of running into all of what's within you that is stopping you from having that which would be yours if you just chill out and stop fussing and picking up a fight and just lay back and enjoy the ride. What you desire is on its way to you. It's like a homing beacon. It is calling you home. It is showing you where to go, where to show up in your life, how to do what it is that you came here to do. That's why you want it. So you don't even have to make it happen. It, or whatever it is that you think you're going to experience whenever you have it, is your destiny. That's what lies ahead. Yeah. So this is just all the stuff that you have to go through to find out who you are along the way so that you can be a good steward of it being placed in your lap. If any of us were given what we hope and desire right now in the blink of an eye, we would mess it up within about a week, maybe 24 hours. It really would not last long, because what you'd be doing is dropping a future experience of yourself in your current foundation. And if your current foundation could hold your future self, guess what? You'd have that gap closed in your timeline. But your current unfolding is being supported by your current foundation. So what you're doing is going through a series of learning experiences to undo any conditioning that's been put on you, undo any of the limiting programming that's been put on you, take out any of the scarcity that lies within you so that you can be in your full power, so that when you have what you want in front of you, you can steward it, you can navigate it, you can honor it, you can cherish it, and you can have the foundation that is required in order to hold it and build upon it. Yeah. So if we look at how we don't have what we want yet, then we can take a look at what do I currently have the habits of. When I started making business decisions and just basic overall life decisions, not based on where am I at and what's happening, what happened before, but instead started making them based on that future vision. And I didn't focus on how do I make that future vision happen, but I started to pay attention to what do I currently have in all these areas compared to where I would be in that vision. How do I navigate each of the situations in all these areas compared to what I would need to do to navigate it in a bigger situation? So easy example, if you can't manage $20, you probably can't manage 20,000. You certainly can't manage 20 million. So if you want 20 million to manage, start with managing 20. You manage that 20 to the best of your ability to where there is nobody that manages $20 better than you. And watch how 200 finds you. Watch how 2,000 finds you. Watch how 20 million finds you. Not because you did all the right things or you worked so hard or you put so much sweat into it. Yes, you have to take action. But action is an activator. Action is a catalyst. Action is what demonstrates to this world where it is that you're at internally, not externally, because your outer actions are a reflection of where your internal mind is. The body always follows the mind. Yes. That's why when you try to change the body in eating habits and lifestyle habits, the body rebels because the body's following the mind. You have to shift the mind, then the body follows. So whatever it is that you're holding as top priority in your life right now, that is what you're most committed to. And you can find out what that is by watching your daily actions. If you're like, my daily actions just lead me to the couch and watching Netflix, then your suffering is what you're most committed to. There's something in your suffering that you haven't gotten to know yet, that you haven't gotten to rectify, that you haven't gotten to reconcile yet. And I say it's some way that you see yourself, because when you find out your worth and your value, when you discover your purpose within yourself, you don't even have to discover what that purpose is. You just have to discover that you got a seed of purpose and that it leads you to a lot of exciting things, right? Once you become aware of that, you start to realize, oh, I got no room in my life for Netflix, for alcohol, for binge watching, for all these things that separate us and keep us distracted. Remember that conversation earlier today about distractions? They keep us distracted. That's why everything's so flashy and in your face, because they don't want you sitting on anything. If you sat down and you wrote out all of the major headlines that we have hit and landed with us over the last 2 years, it would blow your mind. And I assure you that 80% of them, you'd only remember when somebody mentioned it. But you've been exposed to all of it. It's a constant distraction. And we can say, why are they doing that? Or we could say that's because this is the place that the chaos happens. And the name of the game is how to keep yourself clear, focused, centered, connected, and knowing no matter what illusions and disillusions show up around you. And to me, understanding that makes a whole different experience of the manifestation process than if you thought that it was something that you have to make happen or only get rewarded for good behaviors and you got to be super disciplined and blah, 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 blah. No, you just got to know who you are. You got to know who you're not. And you got to be willing to show up every day as if you are limitless and life is meeting you to bring you to where you want to be. Then whenever that destruction or that chaos or that conflict happens, you can say, this is what the last time that I'm going to go through it. I've never met this conflict, being who and where I am at this time. This is a new experience that I'm clearing the path to allow what is next. You will have a completely different experience, and watch how much quicker the manifestation process tends to speed up. It's not a manifestation process, it's a stewardship process. And when you learn that, when you learn to steward your body, your mind, your life, your moment, your hour, your second, your minute, you're playing a completely different game. And that's the best way to win at the game that they're trying to get you into. Because then when you're playing this other game, there's just no space or capacity for this other nonsense. It's all lies, delusion, lies and deception. I mean, that's the whole reason that it's easier for me to eat clean now, is because all I see is the lies and deception. If they really showed you what happens if your life ran on Dunkin', then you would see it's not good. It's not good. They show you pretty pictures, exciting emotions. They lie to you. If they showed you what really goes into those donuts and what really eating them every day for breakfast would do to you, they would not sell any donuts to you. You see that? They're selling you lies. They're tricking your body with what you're putting into it and tricking your mind into staying in this state of depression, anxiety, separation, delusion. It's literally eating lies. And if you hit a point in your relationship with yourself that you really start to care and bring compassion to yourself, you will no longer allow yourself to so easily and continually and consistently consume the lies.
I love it when you preach, because when you get here and you start dropping these bombs, you see me sit back and smile, because again, this is a public record. It's my own station, and I can say and do whatever I like, have whoever I want. And when you drop these truths to people, and people go back and they'll comment on the show, and you guys out there, please stay active on the chat line. Chrissy Q Rollins is here. You know what she does, holistic restoration healer. You guys really need to get hip. This woman is on fire all the time. And when you drop these truths to people, and you see their life moving in a direction that they wanted it to, right? Does it give you a sense of like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm glad I'm the conduit for this information. Do you get a sense of like, I don't want to say satisfaction, because that's like not good enough, but do you get a real sense of wow, I completed this mission with this person today? How does that make you feel like?
I would say that first and foremost, I have determined that my life's unfolding is really more about me and how I experience what's happening around me.
Right.
Part of what I experience with that is immense elation when someone else wakes up out of the illusion that has been placed on over who they are and what's possible for their life. Nothing makes me more, excited, connected, hopeful, maybe validated, purposeful than seeing that happen. And even with seeing it happen, I know my place in it and I know my non-place in it. It's an opportunity for me to check in with myself. It is a celebration within myself for sure. And it's a celebration for the world, because it's one more person. It's one more light that's out there in the world. It's one more person that's committed to freeing themselves of their own toxicity and all this toxic lies and deception that is just pumped into us. I love witnessing that, and I do get great satisfaction in that. And I also had to find a place within myself that would be perfectly fine if I'm the only one who hears this message that's on my heart to sing it, because, they say you teach what you need to learn the most. And I often joke around that I'm so hard-headed that I had to build my entire life life and business around this conversation in order to finally let it sink in and take root. But I know that I'm here to have this conversation for myself, if not for any other ears. And I never know the impact of my words, but seeing the reaction and getting the feedback, it definitely is like, okay, at least it makes a little sense to somebody else as well. And yeah, it's such an honor. I mean, like an immense honor to have my words touch the lives of other people, to have it spark something or cause you to go in another direction, or to hear people, you know, who saw me like 10 years ago when I first started doing retreats and workshops, which actually I'm going to have a day beach retreat here in North Carolina coming up this fall that I'm pretty excited about. It's the first retreat that I've done in it's been 11 years. So 11/11 was the last time that I did them. So 2022 is going to be when I'm doing them again.
Let me know. I'll be there.
To see somebody then and then to have our paths cross again, you know, a decade later, have them be like, I never forgot what you said. And I won't even know what I said. And then they'll tell me, I'm like, I said that was pretty good. Yeah. Because I do feel like a lot of this is just guided and channeled, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. A lot of the things that I say, it's the first time that I've said those thoughts out loud or put them together in those kind of words before. So I just feel very grateful when I can pick the words to paint the pictures that best represent the energy that's coming to me and the feeling and experience that I have within me. But that's the tricky thing about words too. I can say one thing and it can impact your life, and you could take it in a completely different way than the way that I meant it. But that just shows you this really is a personal experience. We filter everything through our own lenses, and there's power in that, but there's also a lot of deception and interference. Because we're not the only energetic beings here. Yep, and not again, all of them are here to support. Some of them are here to create the chaos and the distractions. Yep. And you know, again, everything has its place and its non-place. But definitely knowing who you are and building that unshakable foundation. I'm just such a high anxiety person that this is what's necessary for me. It's necessary for me to saturate myself in this way of thinking in order to really find my grounding, to keep myself anchored, and to not be just tipped over by everything happening out there in the world. I'm too sensitive for like all of it. So this is like my fortification. This is like my protective grounding shield, but really the protective shield is the fact that there's nothing to shield myself from. And also at the same time, there's always an awareness that there's contrast.
Yes, everywhere. That's right. We're hanging out today. Before I give you the last word, first of all, I want to say thank you. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you for everybody out there supporting the show. You know, please follow this woman. All her information is here. You can find it. You know, it's been running on the bottom, you know, and she does these amazing podcasts and always dropping information, you know, and it's beautiful to be a part of it. And I tell people all the time, you know, when I quote something you say, or I kind of kick back that lesson I learned from you, I said, well, let me reach into my Chrissy bag. Hold on. Then I pull something out. You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling my friend John, I was like, this is the planet where chaos happens. You know, I say that all the time. That's one of my favorite ones for you, because what that does for me, it brings me back into perspective. Totally. So I don't have to get all bent out.
You don't have to be the warrior that saves the world. You just got to be present for yourself and know what battle you're really fighting.
Yeah. And I love when you say that. So, you know, please keep doing all the great work you're doing. I'll support you any way I can. Whatever you got, you need me to rock it for you, I totally will. Before I give you the last word, I just want our audience out there to understand that this information that we're putting out now in this present time and this present moment is very, very important, giving the social climate that we're here, that we're living in. So I'm going to give you the full screen, and please just give our viewers, listeners, audience, and anybody else that can feel this vibration on whatever level and frequency you're at, because I know you guys are always around us, orbs, UFOs, grays, whatever, Jesus, whatever. Please give your insight into this social cesspool that people seem to be caught in, and they may want to get out, but they just don't know how.
Absolutely. So such a great, powerful focus for us to wrap up on. The thing that comes to me is that this is an internal journey. This climate and this current society that we are living in is here to awaken you, not to the wrongs of the world, but the misperceptions that lie within yourself. So challenge yourself to lean toward that which you typically pull away from. Be different than how you've been before. Surrender your defensiveness and allow what's not being said to stay out of the conversation and focus on the conversation that is before you. And if you want out of all the craziness and the chaos, then the best way to get out of it is to stop engaging with it. That doesn't mean hold yourself up and don't go out there in society and don't interact with those that think differently from you, but instead start a new conversation. Get to the heart of why people are feeling and thinking the way that they're feeling and thinking, or start talking about only that which is happening in front of you in the here and now, instead of what you hear happening through the internet, what you see hearing, or what you hear happening from other people's conversations. Challenge yourself to have a conversation outside of the things that you want to stay out of. And at first, this might seem like you are resisting, or what's the word? Like you're ignoring or neglecting or trying to like put on rose-colored glasses and ignore this other thing. Now, when you don't engage with something, that doesn't mean that you condone it. What it means is that you stop giving your power to it. So the thing that I have been challenging even myself to do, because I have my own opinions, I have my own thoughts about what's happening out here in the world, but at the end of the day, I can't prove anything other than what is happening before me right now in each and every moment. And the thing that's consistent with each of those moments is that there's a part of me that is only going to be represented in this world if my external self shows up and carries it out into the world. So each and every single person that we interact with has that same thing inside of them. And just because they haven't been given a better example or a better set of words or a better way of looking at things to align with what it is that you think they should be thinking or doing or feeling or thinking, doesn't mean that they don't have that same tenderness inside of themselves, the same desire for peace, balance, contentment, and well-being for all inside of themselves. So challenge yourself to have the conversation that goes beyond what meets the eye, and be a totally different topic and talk about something else entirely, or if that means challenging yourself to lean into that which is bringing you discomfort and have a different conversation to better understand. A lot of the reason that we're having conflict is because we're defending our positions. When you know who you are, you don't have anything to defend. You can miss one thing and not need everything that you've done right highlighted at the time that somebody points out your misstep. So challenge yourself. If somebody perceives you in the wrong direction, challenge yourself to lean into that conversation instead of cut that person out of your life. Help me to understand what you mean by that. Tell me more about what you experience, and start to listen more than you explain yourself. Drop the whole blame and shame game and challenge yourself to set judgments to the side. Become the ultimate observer and begin to witness what is happening within you and what is happening around you. And then invite in the more of the story. What are you leaving out of the conversation? What more can you bring to the conversation internally within yourself that others are overlooking? And watch how that begins to change your world and change the relationships that you have within it. And that is the way that you free yourself out of all of this delusions and deceptions and divisions that are being created when we just look and point and observe externally and don't take the time to welcome in the more that lies behind it.
That is truly, truly some pearls of wisdom that you dropped today. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. Please follow Chrissy T. Rollins, Holistic Restoration Healer. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't talk, but Holistic Restoration Healer. And please know that you will not, you will always be grateful that you did check out Chrissy, and you will not be disappointed. I guarantee you won't be disappointed, because this beautiful spiritual queen right here is the real deal. I'll see y'all next time on Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. Chrissy, you've been an amazing guest, and I really, really appreciate you. Mark Lee, I'll see you back here next week. I hope you enjoy your vacation. Everybody out there watching, thank you so much for spreading all the love, peace, and harmony. Thank you for supporting the show. All the people that actually, help lift us up. Like Chrissy, we're all doing this together. One thing we all have in common: one mind, one thought, one heartbeat, because when we all get back to that eternal light, that's where we're all going to be. I'll see y'all next time. Let's get out of here, Chrissy, and take it to the house. North Carolina, I know you feeling the fire, right? New York, Detroit, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Virginia, Delaware, Philadelphia. What's up, Dr. Brookenstein? DC, what's happening, y'all? Happy birthday, Tony Camp. Happy birthday, Brook Classic. I love y'all. Detroit, Minneapolis, Ohio. What's up, Brenda? How you doing, Lucy and Patty? Canada, where you at? Dubai. I know y'all out there. Australia, Germany, Italy. I love you, Tokyo. I'm Young Isaiah. Yeah. Over there in South America, Peru, Pumapuco. I got you. Iraq, Iran, Ukraine, Russia. We need to get Brittany Griner home. Stop messing around. Remember, love yourself. Treat yourself right. Pay attention. Stay woke. Chrissy T. Rollins, you were amazing today, so thank you. You were truly fire. Woo! Hawaii, Samoan, doing the Humpty Hump. Tokyo. I know y'all partying over there. I can feel it. Look from the front seat every Saturday. Not on the Grind TV, y'all. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go out and have a good time on this beautiful Saturday. Treat yourself to something beautiful. I'm getting ready to get this front seat out of here. Remember, it's always funky in the front seat. I love you guys so much, and I will be back next week, and we're going to be kicking it hard and strong like we always do. Chrissy, you were amazing today. Amazing. Such a beautiful spirit, dropping so many dimes and so much information out. And remember, love yourself today. I'm out.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for having me, Zach.